Hello, I'm Charles Kovess, Australasia's passion provocateur. Welcome to this week's episode of the Charles Kovess Show. Today's big idea poses this question: why aren't you more disciplined? You know your life would be different if you were more disciplined. I'm going to share some strategies with you that work. Stick around. This show is founded on the formula SA plus P equals S. Self-awareness plus passion equals success. Your self-awareness with your passion will give you your success. Since 1993, when I left my successful career as a lawyer to become Australasia's passion provocateur, I've shared ideas on passion, on human performance, with large and small companies, in major speeches, in conferences, in workshops, and one-on-one executive coaching. The information I share with you works. People's lives change. That's why I'm so keen to share these ideas with you in this show. And I share with you one big idea because that becomes memorable and you can practice that idea during the week. Just imagine after listening to this show for 5 years, you'll have 250 big ideas, some of which can change your life. This show is also guided by Socrates' famous principle: the unexamined life is not worth living. I hope to provoke you to examine your life. Now, a bit of levity to start the day, particularly if we're talking about discipline. Wealthy woman in Beverly Hills in California walks past a homeless man. He says, "Madam, I haven't eaten for 3 days." She says, "Gosh, I wish I had your discipline." Always a different perspective on discipline. I've written 2 books, Passionate People Produce, Passionate Performance, that are resources that will help you practice the ideas in this show. So I hope you consider looking at those, getting those books if you haven't got them. Both of them have been very successful and I've had beautiful feedback from those books. You can see that I'm wearing my red jacket. For those of you watching on YouTube, red is the colour of passion. So when you see red, I hope that reminds you to discover and pursue your passion. And if you're not living with passion, think about the price that you are paying. In this show, I share with you our big idea. A few jokes, if they're appropriate, hopefully not politically correct. A quote, a book, a song, a health tip, a spiritual tip. And I'm definitely striving not to be politically correct. I don't like offending anybody, but nor will I be politically correct. I also subscribe to the fact that we have a soul, a spirit, a heart. In fact, my definition of passion is that it's a source of unlimited energy from your soul, your spirit, your heart, that enables you to produce extraordinary results. So the spiritual elements of our life are also a crucial foundation for this show. So, what's happened in the last week here in Melbourne, in what I call the state of Victoriastan? Locked down as we are, we're famous in Melbourne because we are the most locked down city on our planet. How exciting. It's great to be special. I feel so special. By Dictator Dan. My brother-in-law described him beautifully as Little Stalin. And when he's challenged by people who say, how would you know there's a Little Stalin? My brother-in-law grew up in Hungary in the 80s under communism. He knows precisely what communism is like. And Melbourne is being run like a communist state. It is literally like North Korea. So, it's pretty tough here. And our state of mind around this, my state of mind is okay. And I don't agree at all with what's happening. And you've heard me talk about that in previous episodes. Right around the world, the numbers are very clear. The number of people dying is minuscule. Amazingly, no one's got the flu in Melbourne's winter. And it is winter. It's pouring rain outside. It's been pouring for a few days. So remarkable how no one's got the flu, but people are dying from coronavirus. 2 days ago, the chief health officer in our state said, if someone's in palliative care and they get coronavirus and they die, we would call that a death from coronavirus. I say, this is nonsense. This is misleading nonsense. This is politicians trying to justify the outrageous responses that they've created. So, it's really time for a revolution. It's really time to be inspired by the 1956 Hungarian uprising against communism. That's what we need in this country. I urge you to write to your politicians. Yesterday's Herald Sun was full of news about how outrageous the border closures are. We're supposed to be 6 states and 2 territories, and borders are being closed. We're supposed to be a federation, a commonwealth. It is not working, and our Prime Minister is now seeing how little power he actually has. If a state premier wants to shut a border, it's shut. It's a big problem. And it's driven by fear, by unwarranted fear. How do I know it's unwarranted? Because experts from around the world with contrary views to the government narrative are shut out from the mainstream media. Julie and I have also been attending a number of webinars, and that has been a joy, such a joy to have this opportunity of great programs on webinars from all around the world that came about because of the lockdowns. So I have been learning new skills, and I want to share with you 3 elements of the learning process. To learn something new, you need to have, firstly, an open mind. Secondly, a desire to learn, and thirdly, repetition. So when I'm watching a webinar, when I'm attending a webinar, if I want to learn something, I take copious notes in handwriting. I don't type it up on a computer. I write by hand because it sticks in my mind more completely. And then I review the notes that I've taken. And I find that I'm simply amazed at how much I forget of a particular webinar unless I review my notes. Julie has taught me to use her awesome diary, which is available online from Julie Parker Practice Success. Please go to that website. It's a wonderful physical diary that has almost transformed the way I take notes and remind myself of matters that have arisen during a week. I urge you to contemplate the use to which you could put that diary. Exercise, of course, has continued. Exercise for me and for Julie is like eating, and I urge that to be the same for you. So, to today's big idea. Before I do, I ask you to subscribe to the YouTube channel and to this podcast. Subscribe to it. Please share it with your friends. I would be most grateful if you think it's of value. We never go more than 28, 29 minutes. So it's deliberately kept tight. I could go for hours. I don't want to do that as a podcast. I think 28, 29 minutes is a good time if you're driving somewhere, listening to something. It's not too long. I do know some podcasts go for much longer. So that's the decision I've made. In future, I will be having a Charles Kovess interview show, but this show will maintain its structure of sharing with you life-changing ideas. You can also look at our 2 websites, kovess.com, which is for corporate programs, public programs, in normal times, of course, and then charleskovess.com, where I talk about the Self-Awareness and Passion Quest, a group executive coaching program that can and will change your life if you choose to participate. It's not expensive. Take a look. I think you will enjoy reading what the outcomes are of the Self-Awareness and Passion Quest. So, let's now turn to this week's big idea. Why aren't you more disciplined? The more conversations I have with people, I'm getting from them, they know what to do, but they're not doing what they know they should be doing. They know what they should be doing to get what they want. So, why aren't they more disciplined? Why aren't you more disciplined. In episode 10 of this show, I touched on this element of pleasure and pain as being our two motivators. I want to go more deeply into this question and share some strategies that will help you to be disciplined in areas that will help you get what you want. If you were more disciplined, how would your life change? What would that give you? What are you saying to yourself on a day-by-day basis that you say, I wish I would do that? Why didn't I do that? Why aren't I more disciplined? What are those questions relating to? Discipline is a magnificent resource that we have, but our subconscious minds really don't want us to be enduring pain. You see, because we want more pleasure, we want less pain. Unless, of course, you're a masochist, in which case you want more pain because it gives you pleasure. Discipline, by its definition, means doing things that are difficult, uncomfortable, and cause you pain. I want to share with you 5 precise examples. Number 1, selling. Salespeople. My darling daughter runs a wonderful sales team, but selling is difficult, and many people don't like selling. Indeed, I don't like selling. I love persuasion. Salespeople and good, effective companies understand the systems and the processes that salespeople should be following. They are trained to follow those processes. If a salesperson is adequately disciplined, you don't need to be fantastic at what you do, just be disciplined. So what's the pain that stops the observance of discipline? Second, obesity. Over 60% of Australians, young and old, are overweight or indeed obese. In America, the numbers are even worse. Discipline around eating. Why aren't I more disciplined? Where do you want to be more disciplined? How would your life be different if you were more disciplined? One thing I promise you is you would have more energy, because as you become the weight that is more appropriate to you, you will have more energy. Third example is fitness. So you can be the appropriate weight, but you're not fit. And fitness, being fit, as you know, I'm committed to it, have been for a very long time. It drives energy, and your energy drives your productivity. Why don't you go and do the work that builds your fitness? Fourth example, leaders and managers of organizations. You know the disciplines that you should be observing in terms of following the systems that your organization has instituted. Indeed, following the systems in your own life. You know all of the executives that I've coached over the years, and it's been long, 27 years since I stopped being a lawyer, working with senior executives, with professionals of all descriptions. They don't do what they know they should be doing because it's uncomfortable. The fifth example, in Australia with this lockdown, the Australian Football League, the AFL, has 18 teams in different parts of the state, none of them in Victoria, and coaches come along and they're struggling with keeping the discipline of their team members. Indeed, one of the teams was imposed with a fine of $25,000 because one of the 19-year-old players met up with his 18-year-old girlfriend. Why didn't that player keep the discipline? So these 5 examples, I'm just going through them to provoke you to think about what are the areas of life where you want to be more disciplined, where you tell yourself I should be more disciplined. So what is the problem with discipline? How do I become more disciplined? Well, our moment-by-moment behaviour is driven by, as I said earlier, pleasure and pain. So what is the pleasure that you will get by being disciplined? Or what is the pain that you will avoid by being disciplined? I used to be a tax lawyer, so many people understand the pain of discipline around completing their tax returns. The pain is financial. When you don't want to get out of bed in the morning and your business is waiting for you to arrive, take for example a dental practice. You might not feel like going, you ring in, send a note, I'm not feeling well today, I'm not going to come to the practice. It's so easy to stay in bed. I love staying in bed. So it's pleasurable. It's immediate pleasure staying in bed. It's immediate pleasure watching TV. It is painful. It takes an act of will to get out of the bed. So there's the pleasure-pain equation on, do I get up and go to work, even though I don't feel like doing it? And then the question the bigger question is, what is the pain of not going to work? Well, you could lose your job. And today in Australia, where there's over 4 million adults who are unemployed or underemployed, I have done the numbers, I've done a lot of work with Colin Benjamin. It is a huge, huge problem that we have in Australia and America and other countries. So the pain of losing our jobs today can force us to get out of bed. That's the pain of the discipline. What's the pleasure of the discipline? Well, the pleasure of going to work is that you get paid. The pleasure of working, particularly if you're passionate about your work, is that you enjoy it anyway, and then the money and the rewards that you get enable you to live the life how you want to live it. It enables you to provide food, clothing, shelter. It enables you to look after your children. And the pleasure pain also relates to, well, how would you feel if you couldn't feed your children? And so that pain, avoiding that pain can drive your discipline, or gaining a future pleasure can drive your discipline. Now, guess what is the bigger motivator? Avoiding pain today or gaining pleasure tomorrow? The answer is clearly avoiding pain today. It is painful to be disciplined in eating. Okay, so the pain today of not eating whatever I want to eat today, I feel like a cream cake, and trust me, I love food. I feel like eating it, and the pain of denying myself that. I say, why would I deny that? Well, because I can see that in the future my pleasure from being healthier will give me a reward. Or I can see in the future that being obese and diabetic would be very painful. And so in our minds we have these balancing acts going on all the time. And what I urge you to do is to understand this pleasure-pain equation and understand the short-term pleasure-pain decision. Do I get out of bed or not? And then understand the long-term pleasure-pain equation. If I am disciplined, I will achieve my goals. If I am not disciplined, I will be in the pain of not achieving my goals. And Jim Rohn has a beautiful quote. This is an extra bonus quote for you today, or at least I think I learnt this from Jim Rohn. I've used it in earlier episodes. Discipline weighs ounces. Regrets weigh pounds or kilograms. Or you could say, discipline weighs grams, regret weighs kilograms. And I urge you to embrace this, put it on your mirror. Discipline weighs grams or ounces, regret weighs kilograms or pounds. So each time you're going to make a decision, you see the small price we pay for discipline, but you look into the future. And so therefore, you need a vision of what you want your future to look like. This is why passion is such a crucial element, because if you passionately want something in the future, then it's going to be more motivating for you to endure the pain today to get your passionate pleasure tomorrow. When people say to me, I want to lose weight, firstly I say to them, don't use the word lose, because lose is a negative term that your brain has difficulty processing. It's better to say, I want to burn fat. Good. I say to them, why do you want to burn fat? And that answer, why, has to be a powerful, compelling reason. If you don't have a compelling, powerful reason for burning fat, then you will not go through the pain today, the discipline that weighs grounds, the discipline, I'm tripping over my own words, the discipline that weighs grams, because you can't see the payoff. Or you might think, I'll worry about that tomorrow. And there's another principle that I have learned on the journey, is that every act of your discipline builds your self-esteem. When you say, I will now do what I know I should be doing, you feel good about yourself. When you stay in bed, don't go to work, an hour later, you start to have these guilt feelings. And then you might go, I'm feeling guilty, and you go and do something silly as well. You go and eat more food, and you then become unhappy about your lack of discipline. Having compelling reasons why you should be disciplined, why you want to be disciplined, why you must be disciplined, is the key to being disciplined. Now, one other special idea that changes your ability to be disciplined, and it's this. Get support for your discipline. I have been training for triathlons for 35 years. I have not been unfit since I was about 10 years of age. I train with triathlon buddies from time to time. Not every day. And in my cycling group, I have a group of up to 20 people who cycle together. And what's the benefit of doing this training in a group? I have a number of groups of friends with whom I can train, with whom I can agree during the day, I will see you at 6:30 tomorrow morning. Or my swimming group, I will see you at 6:30 in the morning. If I don't turn up, number one, I know I'll feel bad about it. And two, they're going to stir me and give me a bit of buggery about why I didn't turn up. And that's enabled me to practice and create this habit of discipline. So the technical term is getting leverage on yourself. And one of the best ways to get leverage on yourself through this support is join the self-awareness and passion quest. Get a coach, get a one-on-one executive coach. Get support in a way that suits you. Now, you can do that with one of your friends. And one of the best ideas for leverage is to bet your motor car on your commitments. Just imagine if you said to somebody, if I don't burn 10 kilograms of fat within the next 6 months, I will give you my motor car. Just imagine if you said that. And people say to me, well, I'm not going to say that. So, well, then you're not committed. Because when you make a commitment, it is a very powerful resource. I urge you to look at this question of discipline. The rewards for you are enormous. Craft a vision for yourself, and the self-awareness and passion quest is designed to help you discover what your passion is so that you can be passionate about your future vision, your goals, so that you know, I really do want to do this, and that today, each step of discipline that I take is helping me create a magnificent, outstanding, compelling, exciting future for myself. And then, on a moment-by-moment basis, your discipline will continue to improve. You can craft the life that you want. If you aren't passionate, then it's harder to be disciplined. That's why discovering your passion is such a wonderful reward. So, the song of the week, very relevant to leverage. What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Joe Cocker, Beatles, who wrote it. I get by with a little help from my friends. Oh, I get high with a little help. I get by with a little help from my friends. Trust me, find a friend who can challenge and support you in being disciplined. My book of the week. Jim Stynes, famous Australian footballer, won the competition's highest award in 1991. I spent a week in a hotel room with him in 1994 after he had won the Brownlow medal. He wrote a wonderful book, Whatever It Takes. He was a great man, and it was great to be close to him, and we shared lots of ideas over the journey. Whatever it takes. That's a nice mantra. Are you willing to do? Are you willing to be disciplined to do whatever it takes? It's time for a bit of levity before I share a health tip and a spirituality tip with you. I love short quotes, as you can tell from this show. And I got this great list of the best T-shirts of the summer. And one of them is particularly relevant to the discipline is this. Growing old is inevitable. Growing up is optional. Another one. Also relevant. These are real T-shirts, by the way. I suffer occasional delusions of adequacy. And certainly, if you aren't disciplined, you're not going to, the question of being adequate or inadequate. If they don't have chocolate in heaven, I ain't going. At my age, I've seen it all. I've done it all. I've heard it all. I just can't remember it all. I used to ride motorbikes. I'm just in the market now to buy another motorbike. I first started riding motorbikes in 1971. And this is the T-shirt on the back of a motorcyclist and said this, if you can read this, my wife has fallen off the back. All right, I think that's all I've got. Yes, here it is, last one. Gravity. It's not just a good idea, it's the law. Food for thought for you. All right, now back to health tip and a spiritual tip. And my health tip for you is this. What is one discipline that you can consciously adopt when you're watching this show or listening to this podcast that will make a profound difference to your life in the next 6 months? What is one food that you could stop eating that would make such a difference? And a spiritual tip. What is one discipline that you can observe every day that would make a massive difference to you in 6 months' time? If you want an idea of what a spiritual tip would look like, I would say read 1 page of a spiritual book. You can make that the Bible. Read 1 page each day. You put that in your diary, into your awesome diary that you might have got from Julie Parker Practice Success. You put it in there at a particular time. It becomes a habit. And what it does is it puts you back into your spiritual space. Lastly, the formal quote for this show about discipline is by a bloke, an advertising guy called Roy L. Smith. I don't know much about him, but this is a beautiful quote. Discipline is the refining fire by which talent becomes ability. Discipline is the refining fire by which your talent becomes your ability. I want to help inspire and provoke you to have a new perspective around this thing called discipline. Embrace discipline so that your talent converts into ability, into skill, into the ability to live the life of your dreams. So that's it. I hope this has been of value to you. I know it will be, because every single one of us can be more disciplined. Please visit our websites, kovess.com, charleskovess.com. Subscribe to Passion Points to Ponder on either of those sites. Check out the books, the resources there at charleskovess.com. Have a look again at the Self-Awareness and Passion Quest. So, time to go. I wish for you a wonderful week full of challenge, enlightenment, new disciplines, passion, learning, and joy, so that you wake up every morning with joy, with gratitude for living on this amazing planet on which we do. I look forward to being with you next week. Thank you for sharing this episode. Bye.